centre d'apprentissage de la langue anglaise ILM, 6 à Lambani, près de la station TMI. FIM FM 95.3, Newsmag, le magazine du décryptage de l'actualité de la semaine en langue anglaise. Newsmag avec Ousmane Kamara, Aïssatou Diallo et Mamadou Ribari.
September 29, 2023. Ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon to all of you, wherever you are, however you listen. This is 95.3, Aïssatou Diallo, and your program Newsmark with me as usual. Good afternoon, Bill.
Good afternoon, Aïssatou. Good afternoon to our viewers. Well, of course, I gotta say, to God be the glory for great things He has done again.
All right, Bill, in the second part of today's edition of Newsmark, we will decryptage. We will be talking about topics. We will be talking to Willie L. Freyasin Jr. He is a life coach, a counselor, and speaker. And with him, we will discuss, among other topics, about his visit to Guinea, as this is his first time stepping on African soil. Yes. Good afternoon, Mr. Willie, and welcome in Newsmark.
Good afternoon, and thank you so much.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, please stay tuned for a break. And when we come back, the news, then decryptage being the second part.
Newsmag, une coproduction de FIM FM et du centre d'apprentissage de la langue anglaise ILM, 6 à Lambani, près de la station TMI. Newsmag, le round-up.
Newsmag, the round-up. Bill, the headlines.
Exactly. First of all, Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya calls for maintaining the culture of dialogue.
On September 28, 1958, Guinea voted no to the French community in a historic referendum. And this Thursday, September 28, 2023, marked the 65th anniversary of this vote that paved the way for Guinea's independence. In the margins of this commemoration, Colonel Mamadi Doumbouya addressed a message to his fellow countrymen while highlighting the struggle of the founding fathers who, through their fight, liberated Guinea from the yoke of the former colonial power. On this day of reflection, the leader of the transition calls on Guineans to teach forgiveness and maintain the culture of dialogue and coexistence to forever banish the specter of intolerance in a common home.
Next, meetings between Guinea-Bissau and Guinea on the delimitation of their common borders.
Experts from Guinea and their counterparts from Guinea-Bissau are in Bissau to deliberate on the delimitation of their common borders. Tensions have been recurring, leading to numerous conflicts, sometimes resulting in intercommunal confrontations on both sides along the dividing line. To prevent such incidents, Conakry and Bissau have expressed their willingness to clarify their common land and maritime borders. A joint technical commission was established on September 27, 2023 to address the issue.
Exactly, Aïssatou. The goal is to establish the structural, organizational, and operational foundation for joint border management. The two countries share 324 kilometers of land border, which remains poorly defined for the communities living along the dividing line.
However, the real challenge lies in the shared maritime space. This zone is rich in fish, but it has never been clearly delimited or subject to an exchange agreement. As a result, in January of this year, 9 Guinean fishermen from Conakry were arrested by the Coast Guard for unauthorized activities in Guinean Bissauian waters. Conversely, Conakry still holds 4 Coast Guards who are labeled as pirates awaiting their trial.
In addition, the International Federation for Human Rights, the Guinean Organization for Human Rights, and the Association of Victims, Parents, and Friends of the September 28, 2029 massacre commemorated the 14th anniversary of the event on Thursday, September 28, 2023. They held a press conference at the Press House in Conakry.
One by one, representatives, including those from abroad, took the floor to express their feelings regarding the start of this trial. After 13 years of waiting, they also sent messages to the government regarding the continuation of the hearings scheduled for October. Maba Safar, the head of the International Federation for Human Rights delegation, began by recalling that in 2009, 107 women were raped in broad daylight at Conakry Stadium, and over 150 other victims were recorded. And according to this activist, Guinea should be proud to hold this landmark trial.
Exactly. I said to Alpha Amadou Diezba, coordinator of the pool of lawyers of the civil party in the trial, expressed his joy at the trial's opening on September 28, 2022.
For him, so far, the trial meets the international standards of fairness because the entire procedure has been respected affected during the past year. He stated that when the trial resumes, the civil party will continue to call more victims to the stand since there is a multitude of cases and each case is unique.
Besides, Selou Dalenjalo, September 28, 2029 was a day of horror and shame for our country.
The leader of the Union of Democratic Forces of Guinea has spoken about the significance of the day, September 28, which has a double historical significance in Guinea. On one hand, there is a victory of the no vote in 1958, and on the other, the massacre of 2009. On September 28, 1958, the people of Guinea made the choice to take control of their destiny by massively voting no. September 28 also recalls a painful memory, remembers the leader of the UFDG, Selou Dalenjalo. It also symbolizes the date on which atrocities were committed at Conakry Stadium during a mobilization of Guinea's civil society.
We still get more stories. Inspired Independence Week, high-level panel on the Guinean dream held in Conakry.
The transition authorities wanted to give a special mark to this year's independence celebrations. In this context, on Thursday, September 28, 2023, marking the 65th anniversary of the historic vote on September 28, the government launched Independence Week. It will be marked by citizen activities and awareness campaigns promoting coexistence throughout the country. On this occasion, the Minister of Higher Education, Scientific Research and Innovation organized panels in which prominent figures participated to share their reflections and analysis on coexistence. This event took place on Thursday, September 28, 2023 at the People's Palace and was attended by Prime Minister Dr. Bernard Gumu, accompanied by Jiba Jakite, the Minister Director, the Presidency's Cabinet, and General Amara Kamara, the Minister Secretary General of the Presidency.
Moreover, air traffic resumes at Conakry Airport.
Finally, good news for passengers at Conakry Airport after 24 hours of interruption due to an accident involving a cargo plane from the Nigerian Army. Air traffic resumed on Thursday, September 28, 2023 at Ahmed Sekou Touré International Airport. This announcement was made by the Airport Management and Operations Company of Conakry, Sojiak, and the runway that was blocked by the accident has been cleared. From now on, flights can take off and land on the airport's tarmac.
At the same time, angry youths from Bessia blocked Transversal T2.
Young people from the Bessia City neighborhood in the Matoto commune have been on the streets since the morning of Thursday, September 28. They were protesting against the sale of their football field to a company for use as a gold refinery. Traffic was severely disrupted.
Moving on to Zerikuri, citizens blocked National Road leading to Côte d'Ivoire.
The residents of Bangota were very angry yesterday early on Thursday. Citizens of this locality blocked the National Road leading to Côte d'Ivoire. The protesters, very upset, barricaded the road with tree trunks, and young people and women have risen up against the arrest of one of the village elders by the security forces. At the scene, several vehicles, including those heading to the neighboring Republic of Côte d'Ivoire, were blocked.
Moving on with some African stories. Ghana's $6.6 billion lithium mining deal to create thousands of jobs.
Ghana is poised to generate approximately $6.6 billion annually from its lithium deposits once mining operations commence in 2026, resulting in the creation of 1,000 to 2,000 jobs within the country. And the mining contract has been awarded to Atlantic Lithium Limited, an Australian company selected through the bidding processes.
Russian President Vladimir Putin on Thursday said relations between Russia and South Sudan were developing intensively.
Speaking at a meeting with the South Sudan President Salva Kiir in Moscow, Putin noted Russia was one of the first countries to recognize the sovereignty and independence of South Sudan. South Sudan was one of the African countries present at the Russia-Africa Summit in St. Petersburg, and the meeting took place as Kremlin seeks more allies amid the military campaign in Ukraine. Ladies and gentlemen, Tijan is on the technical side. Let's take a break.
Newsmag, une coproduction de FIM FM et du Centre d'apprentissage de la langue anglaise ILM, 6 à Lambani, près de la station TMI. Newsmag, décryptage.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the second part of Newsmark Decryptage. As said earlier on in the program, Willie L. Fierson Jr. have been working as a life coach and biblical counselor professionally for 15 years. Up till that time, he was a postmaster with the U.S. Postal Service for 28 years. He received his master's in biblical counseling in 2015 and started coaching and mentoring a number of employees until his retirement in 2021. Presently, he is involved involved in a group of ministers who mentor teenage boys. He also counsel and coach in multiple aspects of life, including marriage, relationships, trauma, mindset, and of course, addictions. Good afternoon, Mr. Willie, and welcome in Newsbug once again.
Good afternoon.
The first question I would like to ask you is that, can you tell us about your background and what actually inspired you to become a life coach, counselor, and a speaker?
Okay. I'm from a small town in the United States, and I grew up in the state of Alabama. Very small town where at the time I was born, in 1954, we were in the midst of segregation. So there was a separation between, whites could do certain things, black couldn't do certain things. So I got the feel for what people were going through. So in that environment, just coming up, I've always had people to confide in me. And this is the thing, I guess, it's been like instilled in me to be a coach or counselor, because people have always just kind of confided in me. And it's been like that throughout my whole entire life. And listening, I guess, is one of the aspects of being a counselor or life coach. So I think that it's something that has always been a part of my life. Mm-hmm. And now I'm at a point in my life where I really want to try to make a difference with it.
Okay, coming back to the second question, Mr. Willie, what actually motivated you to visit Africa for the first time, especially Guinea? And what are your expectations from this experience?
Okay. Well, I had been talking. I have a friend, Lamine Sal, who is from Guinea. I've known him for more than 15 years now. And he's been talking to me about Guinea for more than 15 years. And I've always had an interest in coming to Guinea. And the thing that really sparked my interest the most was a few months ago, my baby sister had Ancestry.com done, and she found out that, she had 77% Guinea in her DNA. So that really kind of pushed me, like, yes, I really want to go see. And my purpose for coming really is to try to give what I can. I'm not sure what I can do right now, but the thing is this, I came to observe, came to kind of assess, to see what it is we can do. Lamine and his wife had a ministry earlier that was bringing a lot of things to Guinea, to Guinea, and we want to continue in that aspect, but I really want to offer up some type of service that we can actually sit down and talk to some people, and trying to change the mindset. I just found that mindset is the key to moving forward.
Just to come in again, from what I've understood, your purpose for being here is to assess the needs of the people and give aid to those things that you can. How do you intend to do this? Through
obtaining resources that we're able to send things to Guinea, and also to try to set up a ministry where we will be able to aid those. In Guinea, we plan to have counselors, we plan to have lay persons, ministers come and give that which they can, as far as spiritual, that which they can, mindfully.
Okay, Bill, any questions?
So how do you see the role of a life coach and counselor in an African context compared to your work in the US?
Well, I think that in the US, the difference is this. I think that in the US, when I see things like poverty in the US, when I see people in poverty in the U.S., then I look at that a bit different than I do here in Guinea, because in the United States, I feel that the opportunities are there and they present themselves, and sometimes, like bad choices as we go along life, we end up in certain situations, but in this situation, in observing, it seems like the opportunities that are afforded in the United States are not here. So it would just be a different context as far as mindset.
So what specific areas of personal development and counseling do you specialize in?
That would be, I do mental, spiritual, and emotional growth.
Okay.
Okay, coming to this question, Mr. Willie, how do you approach helping people overcome challenges and make positive changes in their lives?
I think that the first step to helping anyone is you have to establish trust. I think that trust is the number one thing. And by doing that, you have to really listen intently. You have to really be a person who actually care about people in order for people to feel that they can trust you. And then once you build your trust, then you're able to meet them where they are, and then you're able to kind of help them to navigate through whatever their challenges are. And when I say help them, I'm saying you're not taking them by the hand and directing them. You're actually coaching them into going into their own direction. Pretty much like, I guess you might say, when they reach their destination, then they'll know how to get back. It's almost like driving a car. It's like if you are going to a certain destination, if you're in the passenger seat, then it's hard to find your way back because you're not paying attention to certain things.
Yeah.
But when you are driving, you're the driver. You're going to pay attention to different landmarks, different things, so that when you are on your way back or have to make that trip again, there are certain things that you recognize that will help you to get there.
Could you share a success story from your work as a life coach or counselor that had significant impact on someone's life?
Yes, I got a couple of them. The one I'll talk about, I guess, is young gentleman about the age of 28 or 29, but very intelligent, very, very intelligent. Had went to school, obtained degrees, but was working at a car wash. Okay, and the biggest thing was he was really going into some emotional fit because he knew that he should be in a better place, but he just couldn't move forward. So what I had to do with him was coach him into believing in himself, believing that, you can be what it is you want to be. You just have to trust. He's a believer, so I told him that, you trust God for some things, you got to trust God for all things. So he started to really build on that, and after a certain period of time, he actually now is IT tech.
Wow.
And he's, working on military base.
Okay.
I mean, his life has really changed.
Okay, we have 3 minutes to go, but coming back to this question, many people struggle with work-life balance, okay? What advice do you have for individuals trying to find that balance?
I would say the first thing would be, the first thing would be, oh my God, finding your perspective. Okay, the first thing would be perspective, and then the second thing would be setting priorities.
Mr. Willie, create knowledge, generate action, and manifest change. What did you say on these phrases?
Okay, create knowledge. In my opinion, that phrase came out of my heart, that was placed there. And creating knowledge is, I think that when you know better, you do better.
Sure.
And when you know better, then the action, you can take action. And then anytime you're taking action, then, it manifests as a change. So that's the purpose.
Mr. Willie L. Pearson Jr. have been working as a life coach and biblical counselor professionally for 15 years. Up till that time, he was a postmaster with the U.S. Postal Service for 28 years. He received his master's in biblical counseling in 2015 and started coaching and mentoring a number of employees until his retirement in 2021. Presently, he's involved in a group of ministers who mentor teenage boys. He also counsel and coach in multiple aspects of life, including marriage, relationship, trauma, mindset, and addiction. And this is his first time in Africa, especially in Guinea. Mr. Willie Pearson, thanks indeed for accepting our invitation.
I really appreciate you inviting me. I really am grateful to be here, and I've been feeling so welcome. I mean, I've only been shown love since I've been here, and I just want to say thank you all.
All right, and a very big thank you to Mr. Lamine for facilitating this interview and for making him come to Guinea. And that's Mr. Lamine here. Anyway, Bill, this is the end of today's edition of Newsmark.
Yeah, it was great, man. Like, honestly, I enjoyed it, and I can feel Mr. Willie has a lot of wisdom that he wanted to share with Guinea, and it's a pleasure to have him in Guinea.
Okay, thank you very much to our technician of the day, ladies and gentlemen. This is the end of today's edition of Newsmark. Until Friday, of course, another edition, Bill.
Yeah.
De FIM FM et du centre